Appreciate you taking the time with us this morning, Jerry. I'm sure in a jovial mood this time of the year with it being the holiday season, I'm sure you are today.
Well, I'll tell you what, the way to get in the Christmas spirit is to come home from New York under any circumstances with a win, and especially this year. We've got a team that's evolving, as I'm fond of saying, that era is pointed up. We got better Sunday on both sides of the ball, all phases. We got better. And we got out of there without getting banged up real bad. That's a big plus this time of year. And, again, we've got some help on the way. We were out there without Osa and without Kristen Hill, and those guys are help on the way. There's no question about it. We got some safety help coming, so that's all good. We got some tackle help coming with Tyron Smith. So, hello, Christmas.
Do you? How do you look at that? Like, do you ever feel down after a victory? Assuming there's no injuries, right? Do you ever feel down after a victory, or do you ever feel like up after a loss? Like, do you believe in so-so wins and good losses?
No. If you look at the way the league is structured, if you look at how the draft is structured, how how players are available, it's designed for teams to be 500. And boy, you've got to you've got to have had some extra energy someplace, little lady luck someplace, to get out of that 500 cycle. And consequently, those wins are hard to get. And so, boy, when you get one, I've come to appreciate them.
Jerry, when you look at this team and where they are right now, 10-4, won 3 straight games on the road. If I had told you at the beginning of this season, with 3 weeks left in your season, that you would be 10-4, the number 2 seed currently in the NFC playoffs, with an opportunity to possibly get to the number 1 seed, what would you have told me at the beginning of the season?
Well, I would have told you after you told me, Jerry, you're not supposed to start drinking this early in the day. I would have said to you, you can dream, can't you? But still, I don't want to imply that we don't have those kinds of aspirations. But we know how hard it is to have that kind of one-loss record. And to do it and to have a chance to be a better team over this next month or 6 weeks is really something rare in my experience. A better team. That just sounds so really almost like you are dreaming of Christmas a little bit. But we do have a chance to be a better team.
Do you think Tony Pollard right now gives you a better ability to run the ball effectively over Zeke, the way Zeke's health might be?
I don't think so at all. I noticed, and just as you, I'm sure, saw the other day, the toll, T-O-L-L, that Zeke takes on the defense when he with his power, and that's very impactful in the game. This is not finesse out here. This is hard-nosed football that we're trying to establish with that run. On the other hand, you saw it. Pollard has such explosive ability to hit the hole, and so both of them are, frankly, very they're complementary. And so I'm glad we've got them, and I'm glad they're as healthy as they are.
Jerry, speaking of the running game, the offensive line continuing to get itself as far as continuity and consistency is concerned. What update do we have on Tyron Smith and his health going forward here?
Well, I'm very optimistic that Tyron, I don't know about this week, but I certainly don't rule it out at all. We've got a lot of this week left. But for the longer haul being the remainder of the season and into the playoffs, I'm very optimistic. And, of course, there's no one more incrementally valuable to us than Tyron Smith. And he makes a very huge, significant difference in how we execute in the offensive line. The offensive line, frankly, because you have to think of it as a unit. They, on each side of them, especially the guards and centers, they depend on real coordination, really blocking together, taking up the slack for each other, as well as have to deal with the physicalness of what goes on inside. Frankly, the offensive line is the biggest challenge that not just this team, but on any team. The consistency, the ability to play this game and not have penalties, as well as be powerful and be physical, those combination of things, in my mind, make it the toughest job to coach as well as play.
How do you look at, with Tyron and the position of left tackle, with his injury history and basically not having, played a full healthy season in like 5-6 years? How do you prepare for that and like going into next offseason? Like, are you preparing that, hey, we need to get a good backup in here, or just keep it kind of status quo with Tyron and his health issues?
This is being reasonable. I'll take all we can get of Tyron and don't want any time without it if we can get it. So that means that you'll deal with the fact that he's had times when he was down. Having said that, you've got to put an emphasis on position flex, which means a tackle that can go both ways or tackles. Notice in COVID, we got to add for an active player an extra player, and it had to be an offensive lineman. And the reason for that is those flex guys that can play 2 or 3 positions weren't enough in this COVID period of time. You need the extra help there. So it's recognized that the swing tackle, the guys that can come in for these tackles when you don't have one, are a critical position. And that's the way we'll address Tyron as we go forward. Just make sure we're good at swing tackle.
It's the Jerry Jones Show right here on Sean and RJ right here on 105.3 The Fan. Jerry, talking about this defense that's been playing extremely well, 31 takeaways, tied for first in the NFL with the Indianapolis Colts. And when you look at this defense, can this defense carry this team to a deep run in the NFC playoffs based on the way they're playing?
Yeah, we talk about our pressure, and we should. But down the middle, to me, is where we've had a real improvement on this defense. Right up the middle. Whether it be the big boys in the middle, the bigger boys that we've got some quickness. 2 of the guys we didn't have last week are really big, quick guys. But then what we've done with the uniqueness of our defense relative to using the linebacker that in fact would be traditionally a big safety, but yet have enough pop to be able to be up there close to the line and make the linebacker tackle, yet cover at the same time. And to be able to utilize that and have the numbers of safety types that we have out there is real unique. And we're taking advantage of it. And hats off to Dan Quinn, hats off to Mike. This has been a huge difference in our team this year.
Do you think when you get to the postseason and you face an Aaron Rodgers or, luckily enough get the Super Bowl, you face Patrick Mahomes or something, that you can basically expect to get the amount of turnovers this team has been forcing lately?
Well, I wouldn't go that far, but I would say this. If we can get in front of those kinds of players with this pressure we've got, this pass rush we've got, that'll really make a difference. And we haven't had it. And we can have it. And if we can do that and continue to improve with what we're doing in the middle, then we're better equipped to be against those guys than any time in the last many years around here.
Jerry, in your perspective and being around championship teams and winning championships, with this defense, what does this current defense remind you of when you think about some of the championship defenses that you've had in the past that gives you an idea that this team can be one of those championship-like defenses?
Well, we had Hatcher, we had Ware, we had Ratliff. We had those guys when we back here, and I thought that was arguably a combination of some of the best players we'd had on the interior. Beyond that, I'd have to go all the way back to the 90s when we had such a rotation in the defensive line. And we really had fresh guys out there all the time. And so this group has the potential to have that kind of talent, without exaggeration, but have numbers. We've got fresh legs that we can keep out there and keep those guys coming. I think that really gives rise to some optimism.
Jerry Jones joined us here at 105 through the Fan. Jerry, the NHL is pausing their season through the Christmas holiday due to COVID. Like, do you guys in the league look at what the other leagues are doing, take cues from them? How do you guys handle those kinds of issues?
Well, the fact that they're doing some postponing shows that we all realize that we're in a bit of a crisis right now. And I think the adjustments we've made this past week really will be effective and have already been effective as far as I'm concerned. We've got for all practical purposes, we've got a pretty inoculated population among our players between having had the COVID, at least a form of the COVID, and certainly the vaccination count is outstanding. Now, I'm not talking about the support personnel, the coaches, or talking about the staffs of the different teams. That has a huge, abnormally high rate of vaccination there, almost 100% across the league. I'm talking about the support staff. But our players, for all practical purposes, are vaccinated as far as I'm concerned, and the ones that haven't vaccinated have probably been exposed and may have even had the COVID. What we're doing now to supplement that and encourage them to get the booster shot, encourage them to distance. What we're practicing as an example of what we're practicing with our meetings, our virtual meetings, our meetings spread out, all of that will serve us well, and I think we will have results from that. We just haven't had, among players, we just haven't had a serious COVID outbreak. We've had outbreaks, but we've only had in 2 years one player hospitalized, and he's okay. But one player in 2 years hospitalized.
Do you think we'll reach a point where a player can play with COVID? If he's vaccinated, he can play a game while he has the virus?
Well, I think he can. Now, your question is, will we reach a point where we knowingly allow that?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. I'm not so sure that I've seen us knowingly with a guy with a bad case of the flu. We've let him get in a quote, contagious situation. That would be more about concern for the other players than the individual. Can you play with the flu? Of course you can. Now, I don't want to speak to the virus because, to my knowledge, there's none reported, although it would be madness to think we haven't had players out there playing with COVID. And although we've done an excellent job, we just don't have that tight of account. But the most important thing is, do I think that with the proper vaccinations, with the proper boosters, with the proper protocol between spreading out and how I vision a team being together and what they're doing, you say, well, they're breathing heavy, they're in the huddle, they're in close, how do they keep from getting it? Well, we all know the cases of husband and wives and one getting it and the other not. We know of those. And I've just experienced one close in myself, not in me and Gene, but I've experienced that. So there's no rhyme or reason sometime about why when people are close in, one gets it and one doesn't. Do I think they can play with some? Yes.
Jerry, before we let you go, obviously it's the holiday spirit and Christmas is right around the corner. What's the one tradition in the Jones household that has to be done, whether it be on Christmas Eve or on Christmas Day, that you'll make sure that gets done this time of the year?
We love to beat the other one saying Christmas gift when we see them on our equivalent of Christmas Eve, our celebration. Well, when our bunch gets together, the first one that beats the other one with Christmas gift owes the other one something. So we love to do that, but it's about getting together, during all of my years with family. I never didn't try to see both my family groups, as well as spend time with all family groups. Now, boy, that used to be quite an effort, hours of driving, late night rides, all that kind of thing. But I look back and I wouldn't have traded any of that for all the world. So I've been very, very fortunate to have been able to spend a lot of time during this holiday season with family, both when I had young children and both parents were alive, and both Gene's parents were alive. We used to go to Red Hill, our duck hunting place in Stuttgart, Arkansas, and I have slept in a bed with as many as 8 people in the bed at Stuttgart. And we would have about 40 of us, and we would be in 4,000 square feet with 6 bedrooms and a big center room that you basically use for your hunting lodge, and just all pile in together. Well, today those people are 30 and 40 years old, and the thing that we remember most is all piling in there and having to sleep on top of each other and then get up before sun up and go out and hunt and disturb everybody and be up too late, all that stuff. You can stand about 2 or 3 days of it. It's time to go home, but boy, what fun.
Well, Jerry, we appreciate your time as always. We hope that you and your family have a safe and Merry Christmas, and look forward to seeing the Cowboys on Sunday Night Football against the Washington football team to make it 4 in a row. Thank you for the time, Jerry, this morning.
Well, I hope the Cowboys do our part for all of our fans out there, but I not only wish you guys Merry Christmas, but certainly those great Cowboy fans that are out there. It's been a life of good feeling to be trying to work these Cowboys and give us a little Christmas joy.
Thank you so much for the time, Jerry.